Good evening, everyone, and good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Dhammapariyesanā. Today is day 41. In today's interview, I will be interviewed by a special person. You can see that she's on the other side of the camera. Her name is Yogita Karache. She's going to volunteer for Patisota, and she will be interviewing me for the topic called Applying the Four Noble Truths for Emotional Mastery. So we know that Four Noble Truths represent the highest teaching in Theravada Buddhism, perhaps the old traditions of Buddhism. At the same time, emotional mastery is a concept mostly proposed by the motivational speaker called Tony Robbins. But I think that it has been, it's been in the minds of many for some time. So emotional mastery simply means that trying to have an ability to exercise control over our emotional states without letting emotions affect us. So we're gonna take care of the emotions before they affect us negatively. So we can't stop emotions coming up sometimes, but we're going to have a better control, a better management of what they're going to do to us. So they are in the hands of us so that they won't trouble us a lot. Let me introduce our special guest today because there's nobody to introduce her. So I'm going to introduce her. After that, she doesn't need any introduction because she will be contributing to a couple episodes from today onwards. Yogita. Yogita is a political advisor and a peace activist. She holds a master's degree in political science and international relations from the University of Pune, India. She was the Peace Ambassador of India at the Global Peace Chain and the Country Director of India for the World Peace Model at United Nations. Yogita also won the title of Best University Representative by Garware College, a subsidiary of the University of Pune. Yogita, I warmly welcome you to Patisota H today, and thank you for your interest, for interviewing me. And I normally interview other people, but you took that opportunity today. So it's over to you. Yeah, please continue with your questions.
Namaste, good evening, and good morning to all. Firstly, thank you so much, Bhante, for a beautiful explanation for our today's topic. Though Patisota platform knows everything about you, but still, I'm just giving you a small introduction that Bhante Dr. Chandima is senior advisor of Patisota. So, our today's topic is applying the four noble truths for emotional mastery. So, emotions is something so close to every one of us. Uh, I like whatever I have read about Buddhism. So I know the four noble truths, and I'm just telling it in Sanskrit, that is dukkha, dukkha samudaya, dukkha nirodh, and dukkha nirodh marg. So I want that Bhante please introduce these four noble truths, and then we'll continue with our other questions. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question to start with. So, in Theravada Buddhism, we know there are four noble truths. They are noble because the larger, bigger meaning that these truths represent, is noble. So, this is what the Buddha found out for many lives in his samsara, and in his last life, he found out that there is a middle path wherein which he should not stick to the extreme ascetic practices as well as extreme, or I would say, overindulgence. So that is called the middle path, uh, which is what we have to practice, and which is also the fourth noble truth. So basically, what we can see in these Four Noble Truths is one specific thing. That is what we call by dukkha. Dukkha means unpleasantness, I would say unsatisfactoriness. So the Buddha wanted to explain this dukkha, unpleasantness, in four ways that were recommended, that were used by many other contemporary teachers. Now, the same example, there is a sickness, there is a reason for cause of sickness, and there is a what you call recovery from sickness, and there is a path to recover. Probably, a recovery path, probably a course of medication or surgery or whatever. So he had to put this dukkha concept into these four. So that's why he first introduced the first truth, which has what we call by the noble truth on the dukkha, unpleasantness. The second truth is the noble truth on the cause of the dukkha, I would say, the cause of this unpleasantness. And the third truth is the noble truth of cessation from the dukkha. And the fourth noble truth is the noble truth on the path which leads to the cessation of the dukkha or unpleasantness. So these four reflect different avenues of the unpleasantness. So on one side we see unpleasantness, on the other side we see the cause of unpleasantness, on the other hand we see the recovery, the way out of dukkha, and then we also say what we need to do to recover. Now, in short, what we have to understand, for all these four is, the Buddha said, there is dukkha, dukkha exists, dukkha is real, it's not unreal, dukkha is real, unpleasantness is real, and then there is a cause to this unpleasantness, that is none other than craving, and then there is a recovery. This is what we call by the nibbana. There's a liberation. So the liberation is included as a third noble truth. And then there's a path one can recover from the dukkha. That is what we call by the eightfold noble path. So this is kind of a very complex, I would say, very descriptive thing to explain, but I just brief these four truths. Noble truth, four truths.
Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction of four truths. Also, I recently read something about dukkha, which I just want to read it. That dukkha is the state of being involving internally generated attachment, emotions, thoughts, which in our unenlightened state we perceive as permanent when in fact they are really not. So I can connect all these things with the middle path and whatever introduction you just gave. So yes, now I can connect, and that's the important crux right now in our lecture. So yeah, thank you. My next question is, in COVID-19 era, almost every one of us facing emotional breakdown, especially stress, anxiety, and different painful emotions. So how we can tackle these emotions with the help of this four noble truths?
Great question. Now, I want to say the connection between the emotional suffering and the Four Noble Truths. In reality, the Buddha said, Sankittena Panchapadanakkhandha dukkha. In short, the clinging to the five aggregates is the suffering. Now, there is a lot of emotional suffering. I think we have more emotional suffering than the physical suffering. Now, for example, there may be some people who might say that I'm not in pain, I have everything, I have wealth, I have money and all that. But the thing is the frustration. So frustration cannot be easily bypassed. But what people do instead of physical suffering is that, or like winning, or I would say complaining, is that they're going to replace that suffering with another happiness. But that happiness is also going to be, subject to another emotional suffering. So basically, we have a lot of emotional suffering. So this is the key aspect of the Four Noble Truths. If somebody wants to know how do I relate these Four Noble Truths to myself, my pain, that is none other than emotional suffering. That's why we're gonna look at how to practice emotional mastery with the Four Noble Truths. As you brought up, there are a lot of people who are, going through a lot of different emotional, I would say, environmental things and emotional issues because of the pandemic. We never expected pandemic, and then but still we don't see a way out, that quick. So yeah, the first thing what we have to understand with Buddhism is that we need to recognize our emotions that have arisen at this time. A lot of people, they don't want to accept. Now in Buddhism, we advise people to first acknowledge, accept one's emotional aspects. You have to accept your emotions. You can't bypass. You can't, easily neglect your emotions. Otherwise, emotions will take over you, right? So my first thing is that, to everyone who thinks that I am suffering because of the pandemic, is that you need to accept what's going on with you, so that you get a good sense of what emotions appear, come and go. Is it frustration? Is it anger? Is it, despair? Is it whatever emotion, etc., etc.? So you need to accept, acknowledge, and then you need to what do you call? The first thing is recognize. So you need to recognize that something is going on with you. And second thing is accept. So yeah, so recognize that there is something going on with you. This is a pandemic, and not even me. Everybody is going through this. So recognizing this nature and then accepting your different emotions, and then you need to investigate your emotions from different angles. You can investigate your emotional perspectives, emotions through physical aspects, mental aspect, right, etc., etc. Now, how can we do? Let's say if I'm angry, I can feel that I'm angry, right? Because I can be really, annoyed at a small thing. I can be irritated because there's something going on with me. I can see what's going on. Probably I'm having heavy breaths, right? And then you need to non-identify. This is the most important part. You need to deconstruct you from the event. So pandemic has affected us, but I'm not affected. I'm not letting myself to be affected mentally. Physically, I may be affected. So I need to have that, uh, perception. Otherwise, I will be definitely affected both physically and mentally, emotionally. So the last thing one has to do is to deconstruct oneself from the particular event, in this case pandemic. Now so many people doing a lot of other things. They have been able to cook really well because of the pandemic. They have been able to become more present because they are looking at different things on internet, and they have been able to keep up with their family members better than the past, right? Sometimes they are very irritated just for a small thing. So there are positive things too. So basically, what we had to do with the emotions is to practice recognizing the emotions, accepting the emotions, investigate the emotions, and then to non-identify those emotions with ourselves. So keep the events afar, but don't take them, into a point where they can affect you.
Thank you. So the first thing is we shall recognize our emotions, acceptance towards these emotions, investigate in it, and then unidentified it. Amazing. Thank you. One day when I was in North India and when I was working for one rehabilitation center, there I met one monk, and uh, when I asked him that, uh, you know, uh, what is solution for mental peace. There are so many emotions, inside when a person is frustrated, angry, or a number of negative emotions. And he suggested me the fourth noble truth, that is Dukkha Nirodha Marga, that is Ashtang Marga. So, will you please explain a little bit what is Ashtang Marg and how it can help the humans?
Great. Now, as we explain the fourth noble truth, the fourth noble truth, which is the way out, which is what we have to do in order for us to liberate us from the unpleasantness or unsatisfactoriness, is the eightfold noble path, or people say noble eightfold path. So, this path is the wonderful path where you find the perfect balance. There are 8 main factors: samadhi, right view; samma sankappa, right intention; samma vacha, right speech; samma kammanta, right action; samma ajiva, right living; samma vayama, right effort; samma sati, right mindfulness; and samma samadhi, right concentration. Now, I have a problem in translating samma to be right, because
I understand.
not every right thing is moral, right? People can go do some legal things, but they may be right, but they may be morally wrong. But what we have to understand here is skillfulness, right? So we have to make it skillful. If anything is skillful, that is okay. Then we can apply the right meaning to that. So now, the person who told you to practice the Eightfold Noble Path has given the perfect answer, because Buddha asks us to start the path with samadhi, right view. Now, a lot of people, Yogita, I don't know whether you are sort of conscious about this thing. In the Buddhist teachings, we have a gradual discipline: sila, samadhi, panya. So, virtue, concentration, and wisdom. But in my understanding, my reading, we have to start with a sort of wisdom at the beginning before we move on to sila. Now, wisdom has been explained in many suttas, Digha Nikaya Samgita Sutta and the Suttara Sutta, to be threefold. Suttamaya Panya, wisdom you earn by listening. Now, for those people who are watching this, they are acquiring wisdom in a certain way. This is what we call by Suttamaya Panya. And then Chintamaya Panya, wisdom you earn, you acquire through rationalizing. Though you hear, though you listen to people, but if you don't think that doesn't make sense to you, you won't be able to sort of process that. So wisdom you acquire through rationalizing what you heard before. And then wisdom we call panya, bhavanami panya, wisdom acquired through developing, cultivating mental states. So this is the highest type of wisdom. So, as I said to you, we need some level of certain extent of panya before sila is what we call by the practice of Suttamaya Panya and Chintamaya Panya, not the Bhavanamaya Panya. You won't get the Bhavanamaya Panya without Sila Samadhi. So first, one has to start with Suttamaya Panya and then Chintamaya Panya, certain level of Panya. And then that person slowly navigates or moves on to Sila. Sila is you take precepts, right? But a lot of people think that they have to get stuck in the Sila. No, if you get stuck in the Sila, you will be practicing other contemporary practices. I'm not saying what they are. So you practice Sila because you have to go into Samadhi. So certain level of Panya, that means Suttamaya and Chintamaya Panya, and then Sila, and then Samadhi, and then you are going to practice the Bhavanamaya Panya, wisdom that you acquire through cultivation or developing your mental states. So how I'm going to relate this to the Eightfold Noble Path? Now, in the Eightfold Noble Path, what you see is another manifestation of these 3 disciplines. Now, I would say the first two, Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, they have been taken as panya, the panya aggregate, panya element of the three disciplines. And vacha kammanta, samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva, they are regarded as the sila part, the what you call by virtue part. And then vayama, sati, samadhi, they are regarded as, they are taken as samadhi part. Okay, so panya, sila, samadhi. Now you can see that is why we have to start with some level of panya. But then again, because someone only practices sutame and chintame panya with the ditthi sankappa, someone is going to the highest level of panya after the 8th factor, which is called by sammanyana, sammavimutti. Yogita, in some deep suttas, Buddha says the Eightfold Noble Path has 2 more path factors. So it becomes 10 factors. But they are related to an arahant, sammanyana, which means right knowledge, because we always carry wrong knowledge, epistemological wrong knowledge. And then sammavimutti, right release. So you start with some panya. How do you start with? So there are different explanations about sammaditthi. I would simply call, you believe in the karma, you believe in the vipakas, effects of the karma. You know that you have to do good things, and you know that good things will beget good things, and bad things, and with the bad things you get the bad results, right? At the same time, you have the perspective that you want to liberate yourself secularly and transcendentally. And then you're slowly going into right intentions. So once you develop, garden, nurture yourself with good intentions, then you are slowly walking into right speech, good speech. And then when you have good speech, then you are slowly walking into good actions, right? So words come first and then the action. And then you are slowly walking into what type of good living habits I should have. You shouldn't be hypocritic. You shouldn't be a person who lives with bad means, right? That's right living. And then you are slowly walking into right effort. Energy plays a bigger part. Because I had a discussion yesterday about right effort. And then you are moving forward to sati and samadhi, wherever, by which you are transforming yourself to panya at the end. But as a person who wants to practice this on a secular basis, I would rather encourage everyone at least to practice these first, couple factors. If you have sammaditthi, you have a good basis foundation to keep practicing the rest of the thing. But if you don't have sammaditthi, it's pretty difficult for you to keep going. So the most difficult thing is to have sammaditthi, which means right way.
Thank you, Bhante, for a beautiful explanation. I just want to add one more question in this, that is meditation part of this Ashtanga Marg?
Yes. Now, meditation, what is meditation? Now, meditation in Buddhist teachings means cultivation. Because a lot of people think Buddhism, the practice of Buddhism is a mere observation, but it is not. The real practice of Buddhism is far beyond the mere observation. It is what we call by cultivation, because we have to cultivate our mind through what we call by generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. So this is what we have to do with meditation. So it is clearly said under the Samma Sati, right? Mindfulness, which is a part of the Eightfold Noble Path.
Thank you. Bhante, I read that Buddhists believe that suffering is necessary, suffering is important for human life. So you, as a practicing Buddhist monk, how you look at this concept?
I think suffering is inevitable. You can't stop suffering, kicks in, right? And then affects us. But if we can really take care of us, we may know that there may be better ways to take care of us from what you call dukkha, unpleasantness, unsatisfactoriness. So I cannot say that we need suffering, but if we take a look at our life, everyone's life, especially the history past, we almost everyone they go through different suffering. So definitely our experiences help us to overcome come up with thoughts to overcome my personal pain. So without telling that we need suffering to get out of suffering, I rather say suffering is inevitable. So suffering, I would say, actually there's a big problem in translation. Some people say suffering, but I would say unpleasantness. Dukkha, it is unpleasant, because suffering in the Western context means someone has to suffer like in hell. But in the Buddhist teachings, Buddha says it could be a part of it, but what we mean by dukkha could be the minimum level called unpleasantness of our mind. So we become unpleasant, we become not happy, right? This is the basic understanding of dukkha. The moment you become unhappy is the moment that the dukkha has taken you over, right? So it's pretty easy to understand, right? Probably you are you have a good family, you have good siblings, you have a good education, you have so on and so forth. But the problem is the moment you become unhappy is the moment you have to understand, I am really going through a pain. I would say, because in Buddhism it says in another context, there are three types of classification of dukkha. The first one is dukkha dukkhata, unpleasantness by pain. Some dukkha's can be discerned by pain. Let's say when you have a sickness, when people you like separating you, when people we don't like to be surrounded, with our presence, and these can be witnessed by a certain pain. So this is called by dukkha. The second type of dukkha is sankhara dukkha, conditioned reality. Now we all are conditioned. Somebody else made us, right? I'm a combination of my mom and dad. So, right? And then everything, the computers, gadgets, the whole world, right? So the only thing that is not conditioned is nibbana, liberation. So because we are conditioned, there's a different unpleasantness. This is called conditioned dukkha, called sankhara dukkha. And the third dukkha that we can witness is what we call unpleasantness, because there is change. Now we know change is a good thing. Right? Some politicians use it for campaigns, right?
Right.
Right, but we don't accept change at most of the times, right? Because we don't see it as a positive thing. Somebody is passing any exam, somebody is getting promoted, somebody is getting graduated, somebody is getting a lot of money out of luck. These changes are regarded as in high esteem, right? What about somebody dies, somebody loses a job, and somebody walks away from a company, and all these changes, for the most part, changes are not accepted. So again, this classification, which has unpleasantness as a pain, unpleasantness as a conditioned reality, unpleasantness as a change. So these are the three main root level unpleasantness types. So what I can say is, unpleasantness, dukkha, is inevitable. But if we can really understand what the dukkha is all about, we can better manage it, rather than having a negative aspect of it, because we have to deal with it. We gotta deal with it. We can't run away from that.
Sorry to interrupt in between, but I want to ask that then how to recognize that dukkha? Like how we shall ask ourselves if this dukkha is good or bad for me? Like how to identify that?
Okay, a great question. Now let's go back to the analogy, the acronym, what you call by RAIN. This is a good way of identifying RAIN, RAIN, recognizing, accepting,
Okay, right.
investigating, and then identifying, non-identification. So this is the way one can understand the dukkha exists in real life. Now,
Right.
let's say somebody blames me. Now, this can happen to everyone, right?
Right.
Everybody can be blamed. When the Buddha was blamed, right? So the moment you were blamed, then what are the quick type of emotions that stir up now? Because we're talking about the emotional mastery. So it's kind of a resistance. You don't like it, right? We don't like that thing. Somebody blame us. So
Right.
that people instantly want to hit back. This is what happens to many. But in Buddhist teachings, Buddha said, no, you need to recognize. Now this happened, blame happened, but you take it personal, and you are constructive about it, and then you are going to hit back. But Buddha said, no, you have to recognize irritation arises, frustration, irritation, indignation, revenge arises, and then you need to acknowledge. Now I'm going to actually do that. So stop that, walk away from that, understand, recognize it, accept it, and now see what's going on within you. You are in a struggle. You are in a real struggle within you. You are good, but your hidden self, is struggling now. Your hidden self says, "Hey, go back. You know, reply to those people with the same medication."
Right.
Right? So the thing is, the Buddha said, you have to understand what's happening with this emotion. It's a bad emotion, and then you have to deconstruct you from that particular event. And if you really did a bad thing, you need to apologize. But if people blame you for nothing, then you have to understand that they blame for a previous self of me, my previous self. That previous self does not exist anymore. So why do I want to take it? I don't want to take it because I'm new now, and that's how we want to take that. So it's always a. That is why I'm telling you. This is what we have to. This is why we have to practice mastery, emotional mastery with the Four Noble Truths. If we don't practice it, we will be uh, in trouble. Definitely, those emotions will take us over. So we have to take them over and then to uh, respond without reacting. Now, the other thing is, let's respond without reacting. But a lot of people, they react without responding. They are in trouble.
Right. Right. Wow. Amazing. Thank you, Bhante. But as you said that, like for suffering, these four noble truths are like important, and I mean they will help us to find our answer. But how to practice these truths?
Okay. Okay. Another way of looking at it is the Four Noble Truths is what we have to understand in their entity. So what we have to practice is only the Eightfold Noble Path, right? So when you practice, because you are tapping into the Eightfold Noble Path, because you know that the first truth is real, the second truth is real, the third truth is real. So I have to start my practice. I have to start with Sammaditthi, and so on and so forth. That is how we have to look at it. And in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha says that the discernment, understanding of the Four Noble Truths is 12-fold. Each truth carries an understanding which has what you call threefold: Satchanyana, Krutyanyana, Krutanyana. So the first noble truth has Satchanyana part, Krutyanyana part, Krutanyana part. The second noble truth also has the three, and the third four. Let me tell you, the meaning of these three, and then you can actually uh, see the other three, three noble truths as well. Satchanyana means one has to particularly understand the literal meaning, technical meaning of each truth. That is called Satchanyana. Krutyanyana means one has to understand what I am supposed to do to understand this particular truth. That's the second part. Krutanyana means if one really put into practice what he or she is supposed to do, then he understands I already done it. So these three perspectives, they apply to each truth. So then it will become the 12 layer of understanding. Satchanyana, Kutanyana, Krutyanyana. It applies to the first truth, second truth, third truth, fourth truth. So this is the best way to start. We call it Tipari Vatta Dwadasaka. That is given in the Dhamma Chakkapavatana Sutta, the first sutta that he gave a talk to the 5 ascetics. So if someone is wondering how to do it in the real sense, you need to practice. You need to first understand the literal meaning of the Four Noble Truths, and then to look at what you are supposed to do. Because if you read the context of the sutta, and then you need to, you will feel at some point that you have done it. So this is how you're gonna perfectly execute, fulfill this understanding of the Four Noble Truths.
Thank you, Bhante. Also, I want to add that last year, in 2018, I was in one beautiful state of India, that is Himachal Pradesh, and there I met one a monk. That place is also known as beautiful monasteries and all. So I was trying to know his existence and the way he looked at life and suffering. So he told me like he gave me one beautiful example that then I shall understand the meaning of suffering. He said that a beautiful flower is symbol of Buddhist wisdom or Buddhist teaching. Beautiful lotus flower only come out of this muddy water. If it's not muddy, this wisdom would not be manifest. So I just want to ask that if like human wants to fly high or if human wants to be successful in or happy, then is suffering always necessary that without suffering can't we move forward?
Let me reiterate. As I explained to you, dukkha, unpleasantness, or in your words, suffering, is inevitable. Although we try to walk away, run. But my advice is don't walk away, don't run away. Please accept what's going on with you. And nobody is born with a silver spoon in their tongue, right? Everybody has to sometimes, strive a lot and so on and so forth. So accept, or I would say, accept your unpleasantness or utilize your unpleasantness to navigate the path of the Buddha. Because I mean, it would be nice to say that utilize the experiences of unpleasantness, dukkha, to navigate the path of the Buddha, rather saying that I need suffering to understand. I need suffering to understand, because nobody should expect dukkha. And then we always say that may you be well, happy, and peaceful in our loving kindness prayers. So we should not expect somebody has to suffer, somebody has to go through pain. But rather, I'm telling you, we will have even a trivial type of pain in our life. Definitely, our parents might die, our siblings might die, we won't get the job that we want, right? We want, now at this time of the pandemic, people can't travel, they have to stay home. Not even traveling, they can't even go out of the house, right? So these are very difficult decisions people have to make within oneself, right? So what I'm trying to say is that dukkha, unpleasantness, is inevitable. So let's see it as a positive thing, rather than thinking may more suffering come along the way I'm living. So let's utilize our experiences about dukkha as a stepping stone, as a stepping stone to tapping into the Eightfold Noble Path. So so we always have different types of pain. Everybody, even the Prince Siddhartha had it. So that's why he had to leave the house, the palace, right? So in that way, it would be nice to say that to see dukkha as an experience to understand what our role should be, and then to tapping into the real path. So that's what I can see, rather than saying I need suffering to understand Buddhist path. So it would be nice to say, make it as an experience, and then to find out the best mechanism to, take care of our emotions.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you for beautiful explanation related to this emotion or this topic only, that how Buddhism looks at human life, especially when humans struggle for stability of emotions or happiness.
Okay, Buddhism is very adamant about happiness. The Buddha says, I guarantee happiness only if you do what I say to you. So the Buddha says every conditioned thing leads to unhappiness. So if there's any unconditioned thing, which is what we call by Nibbana, is the only perfect happiness. But Buddha never says that we have to walk away from our secular happiness. Like in your case, you are a lay person. So Buddha never says that one has to walk away from one's lay life and become a monastic. But if we have a perfect coping mechanism of what we experience on a daily basis, especially our emotions, the moment I wake up, and then the moment I start my chores, the moment I start my other things, the moment I go out from the house, the moment I talk to other people, the moment I watch news, the moment I Google things, suffering can come in different forms. Uh, but you can minimize dukkha if you have the real understanding about towards the dukkha. This is what we call by uh, we, we need an understanding. We need a perfect understanding of the dukkha technically and non-technically, empirically, and then by the practice. So what we have to tell the audience is that you need to understand the nature and the constructive nature of the dukkha so that you can better cope with it rather than getting stuck to it, rather than getting taken over by the dukkha unpleasantness. So if you can cope up with the dukkha really well, with what the Buddha said, by practicing the Eightfold Noble Path, there you find the perfect happiness. And if you can go a step ahead, that is what we call by the Nibbana, right? So, so you can be happy only if you know how to cope up with the pleasantness. But if you're going to, get overwhelmed with the dukkha, if you're going to, you know, do nothing about the dukkha, unpleasantness, definitely dukkha will prevail around you, within you. So let's take a challenge. The challenge is to understand what the dukkha is, how the dukkha happens, how the dukkha arises, how the dukkha keeps going in my daily chores. And Yogita, the other thing is people suffer differently. People have their unpleasant emotional suffering differently. Now, the people who have high cravings, people who have high different feelings about things, people who have high expectations, unnecessary expectations, ultra expectations, they suffer a lot. It doesn't mean that the people who don't have those expectations will experience nothing, but mostly those people. So if you lower your wishes, your especially your wants than the needs, needs are okay, but wants are really difficult. They are really dangerous, and they are really taking you to a bad end. Then you will understand. It's really easy to understand the dukkha without having a negative aspect about the dukkha. Now, when the dukkha hits anyone, what immediately happens in that person's mindset is that this is really negative, this is really bad. They are really attacking, they are really in conflict with the dukkha. The Buddha said, don't be in conflict with the dukkha. Be a friend to it. You are not encouraging it to keep going, but when you are a friend with the dukkha, you understand how to take care of you even the dukkha hits on you. Now one example is, if you really understand the dukkha really well, when things don't work the way you want, then you are not that much unhappy. You may be unhappy a little bit, but you will minimize the time, right? So there are certainly greater benefits of uh, understanding the emotional mastery to growing this optimal happiness in our life.
Thank you, Bhante. I don't like, I believe that so many people understood why suffering is important, and I believe that they will look this term positively. That amazingly you explained. So thank you for that. My next question is, Bande, how can one find own self with the help of this Four Noble Truths?
Oh, that's an amazing question. Okay, so if you can remember the Prince Siddhartha didn't get to see suffering because his father, King Suddhodana, avoided all the suffering to be seen in front of him. But when he found out some tragic things, people getting sick, people die, and these different, cons of this human life, then he thought that there's something different happening without my knowledge. So although you may be a person in different, periodical times of your age, but the moment that you feel unhappy about anything, starting from humans into your achievements, then you will feel that there is you suffering within and beyond, right? So this is the place where you have to understand dukkha is real. A lot of people don't think dukkha is real. They think dukkha is kind of a textual, unreal thing. Dukkha is real. The moment you are unhappy, that is the moment you have to understand dukkha is real, and you are a victim to that dukkha. The moment you understand you are unhappy, which means you have been a victim to that dukkha. So then you have to look at the way out. The way out is the Eightfold Noble Path. So you notice the dukkha, and you notice that you are a part of the dukkha, and you now plan to get rid of the dukkha by practicing the middle path or the Eightfold Noble Path.
Right. Amazing. Uh, right. Also, I want to ask that uh, what is your thought about forgiveness? How you relate forgiveness to this Ashtang mark?
How?
How you connect this term forgiveness with Ashtang mark or the Four Noble Truths?
Okay, forgiveness.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, that's a really good question, Yogita. Now, a lot of suffering that we have, a lot of dukkha we have, they arise from a place where we have not forgiven, especially the passive,
Right. Right.
which include the people. Let's say
Right.
there are people, a lot of people, they are suffering from should haves, could haves, what if kind of mentality. Oh, I could have done this. I should have done this. What if I did this thing? What if I had known that person? So they are always worrying about this past. So this is basically resentment. People are resentful about three things in three ways. Other people did not help them. This is the first reason. The second thing is other people did bad things to me. Second. Third reason is other people could have done better to me. So the
Right.
people who didn't help me, people who did bad things to me, other people could have done better to me, my friends and families. And then they construct a big wall of resentment. So the moment that they wake up, they think about the person who were bad to that person, mean to that person, and they eat with that person. They take a shower with that person. When they drive, also they think about that person. They don't aware about the road, right? Whereabouts. When they park the vehicle, also there is a reflection of the person who was in that scene. And then when they sleep, also they think about that particular person. Not even that. One day when they're gonna die, there is a chance that person will come to that mind. So literally,
Right.
the people, you have been a slave to those people. So this is where we need to forgive. Now, many people think if I'm going to forgive someone, what I'm gonna get, what I'm gonna have by this
Right.
forgiving. This is the immediate feeling that they may
Right.
have. Actually, you are forgiving not to the other people in the first place. You are forgiving yourself in the first place.
Right.
You forgive you first. then you clear yourself, you cleanse yourself, you detoxicate yourself, and then you are, you know, forgiving the other person. So you shouldn't have any anger, any irritation, any those kind of conflict with other people, because they may be also unhappy too. So forgiveness is really important, because if you can't forgive, you can start the Eightfold Noble Path with the Samadhi. Because in the Samadhi, we believe every action begets result, kind of a relevant or similar or dissimilar result. So if you have resentment, which means if you have no forgiveness, then you can see things as they are. Your view is distorted. Your reality, the kind of reality that you wanted to see by practicing the Eightfold Noble Path, is distorted. You can't even start it. This is why you have to stop resentment, going on, impacting you at the level of samadhi. So forgiveness is such an intertwined factor for someone to start the Eightfold Noble Path.
Right. Wow. Thank you so much, Bhante. I remember one thing, like while working for somewhere in again Punjab, uh, I used to tell people who were facing pain or mental problem. I used to tell them that if we squeeze orange or mango or any fruit, we get tasty juice. So if we squeeze all the pain from human, then you this is the best way to forgive yourself. Like diffuse pain and stay happy. So that is one of the way that you shall forgive people and why you shall move forward. So yeah, thank you so much. And also, I believe that we cannot be happy by making another people or another soul unhappy. So forgiveness is one of the beautiful value of good human. So yeah, thank you so much for explaining so amazingly. I think I have done with my question. What
Thank
I learned today, that is rain, it means that recognize your pain, acceptance, um, investigation, and unidentified that pain. So wow, like I believe that wherever you guys in the world, uh, I believe you enjoy this lecture. Thank you for listening us patiently. Also, I want that whatever you want to know about anything, it might be any emotion, it might be any topic, kindly let us know in comment section, and we will definitely come with that topic. Thank you so much wherever you are. You always are so worthy enough. You are beautiful souls, and you always in my prayers. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bhante, for giving your time. And please now this platform to
thank you,
you.
thank you, Yogita, for hosting today's interview or discussion. And I hope that we'll continue with other topics in the future. And I like the way you ask the questions, because we have to kind of bring and put the concerns of what we really have to talk about
Right.
on these topics, rather
Right.
than just go over the technical terms and the stuff. Thank you, Yogita.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Have
I,
a good morning. Have a good evening.
thank you. Thank you.